Alrighty, so I guess welcome to the first ever podcast slash testimonial that I'll have on the channel. I know that for some of you that are, that have watched the channel and that reached out to me, I know that I haven't been posting a lot, but that's because I've been busy and we've been busy. So on the other line, I have Brandon, who is the owner of Ethical Plumbing. And Brandon, I thought about how do I introduce you because you're such an important piece to this whole thing that happened for the past like 5 months. And the intro you deserve has to be like next level, just like the work that we've done. So I want to share my screen with you. I've asked Athena and asked AI to build you an intro, and you let me know what you think about it. So
Perfect.
let me share my screen and then let me know if you hear the audio.
In a world where plumbers panic through the slow season, where business owners beg the algorithm gods for leads, and where most still depended on door hangers, fridge magnets, and that one sketchy SEO guy named Todd, one man didn't flinch. One man saw the chaos and calmly said, "Nah, I got this." His name is Brandon, co-owner of Ethical Plumbing. But make no mistake, there's nothing ethical about how hard he dominates the game. While the rest of the industry was stuck in 1997, Brandon shook hands with the future. He looked artificial intelligence in the eye and made it his intern. He didn't just adapt, he evolved. He weaponized AI. He summoned the first ever high-converting sales agent that never eats, never sleeps, and books jobs like it's on a caffeine bender, while others were waiting for the phone to ring. Brandon was making the phone ring, twice, at once, on both lines. He's part strategist, part cyborg, tireless, conscientious, unmatched. He doesn't chase trends, he breaks them. And when competitors ask how he did it, he just smiles and lets the AI do the talking. So buckle up, folks, because the plumbing world just got a wake-up call, and its name is Athena.
That's
That's
what I have.
incredible, man. Thank
I
you for
know.
that.
Well, the that's all that we have right now for the budget. I'm still just one dude, so we're scraping by, but this is what the AI allowed us to do. So I thought I'll
I
make
love
that.
it.
Awesome. So yeah, thank you for joining. This is obviously not like the normal usual podcast that everyone has. I want it to be fun, relaxed, casual. Just wanted to talk about the industry, you and the journey so far that you had in the company and the AI. So if you don't mind, Brandon, how did ethical plumbing, your company, come to life? And how long have you been in the industry?
Sure, sure. So we'll start with ethical plumbing. I would say it probably has one of the most organic starts that a company can have. A husband and wife, Tammy and Dan Kavanaugh, incredible people. Um, Dan Kavanaugh was a plumber for 18 years, working for other companies, and his wife Tammy is an incredible business mind. And one day she just said to him, you need to stop doing this for other people and we need to do this for ourselves, like most people do when they start a business. So they
Mm.
started with humble beginnings, no customer base. They were going door to door, taking any job that they could get their hands on, day, night, weekend, whatever it may have been, and started building the company. That was 15 years ago now. So I came in almost 3 years ago. I was introduced to them through an employee of Ethical Plumbing who I had worked with previously at a different company. So I met with Tammy and Dan probably 7 times before I came here. Um, I was very, very infatuated with the company and impressed by them. And, they came to me and said that they wanted the business to grow and flourish and, become what everyone wants their business to be, right? Successful and, everlasting. Um, so we strategized and we put our heads together and, I finally came on board. One of the best decisions I have ever made by far. And, we just hit the ground running. Um, we put processes in place, completely revamped inventory systems, operating systems, um, customer service processes. Almost everything we revamped from the ground up, and it has gone incredibly well. Um, 2022, the company did about $860,000 in revenue. 2023, we hit 1.5 million, and 2024 we hit 2.55 million. So we're seeing some impressive, steady growth. And I should point out that this growth is happening without adding a lot of team members.
Mm,
Um, one of our main focuses is efficiency, right? We make our money in efficiency, not in volume.
mhm.
That's sort of the mindset that we have, and the reason that we have that mindset is because what really matters is the bottom line, right?
Yes.
You can make $5 million a year as a company, but if your net profit is 0.01%, then you're doing it all for nothing.
Yeah.
Um, so we keep efficiency at the forefront of our minds, but we have just been experiencing excellent growth. We're in a wonderful area, and we are taking advantage of the growth of our area and training within our team, and just trying to improve day after day, um, and just become a little bit better every step of the way. And it's
Definitely.
certainly had its challenges, as growth does. Growing pains is a popular term for a reason, but
Yeah.
we've been doing very well, and it has been a really fun 3 years.
Yeah, every single time I talk to you guys on a Zoom call, every single time we talk marketing, I see how driven you guys are. So it's no surprise that, it sounds like when you came in, you really started systemizing everything and putting processes in place. And I love what you said about, it's not about focusing on volume and the quantity of jobs, but it's keeping efficient. So, wanted to just kind of dig in more there. In terms of efficiency, I'm assuming you guys are really focused on maximizing the service, like the average service ticket that you have. Is that right? Or is there anything else that goes into being more efficient for you guys?
I mean, there are a lot of things that go into being more efficient, from the front end all the way to the follow up afterwards. But yeah, you are right. We do focus a lot on maximizing our calls, right? Um, it's a goal that we have is for our technicians to run 3 to 4 calls per day,
Mm,
right? No more than that.
yeah.
Um, because every single call that we go to, we have a responsibility as tradesmen to do a thorough evaluation of our customers' plumbing systems, right? For example, if we go out for a dripping faucet, we need to do more than simply rebuild that faucet, right? There's a reason that faucet is dripping, and it's our responsibility to find that and explain to the customer what's
Mm,
really going on. So yes, we do maximize our calls. We maximize our processes. We change our processes frequently. You know, no one is perfect. It's very important to stay humble and realize that no one's perfect, and the only thing that you can ever do to even come close is to be willing to improve. Right.
yeah.
So, part of that efficiency is not just processes, but it's also how money is spent. Right.
Mm,
I know I mentioned a little bit about the bottom line being the number that really matters. you
Yeah.
know. Um, I have a phrase that I use, a couple phrases actually, but one of them is, gross gross revenue is for show, net profit is for dough, right?
Yeah.
That
I like
is that's the number that truly matters. Um,
Yeah, the bottom
and
line. Absolutely.
yeah, and I mean a huge chunk of, I know we're going to move into this as we go on, but a huge chunk of that is marketing, right? It is expensive to get calls,
Hmm.
uh, and that's sort of what this interview is about, and keeping
Absolutely.
the guys busy.
Yeah, I do marketing for, God, I think it's basically 10 years since I was 16 I started. And like you said, it costs so much to get a new customer. And at the same time, when it comes to your back end, you have all these thousands of people that have used you, are your existing customers, and that are happy with your service. But, I talk to dozens and dozens of companies every month. They don't have a very efficient way to reach them. So it's almost like if you can figure out that vehicle on how to engage your customer list very efficiently, very inexpensively as well, with the right offer and drum up jobs there. It's like, well, now you can generate revenue from the back end that you can then pour into the front end. Because, one other thing with acquiring new customers, and, Brandon, let me know uh, if I'm wrong on that, but there's a certain lifetime value, right? It's not like you just get a new customer, they pay for the first job, first service, and then you are done. It's like now it's an asset. You can remarket to them, you can send emails to them, you can call them again with new offers, get them on contract. So, there's obviously so much value, but the problem here is that it costs a lot to get it on the front end. And I feel like if companies would figure out their remarketing at the back end well, they would do so much better and reduce the costs as well, raise the revenue. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. We a number that we track every single year is what percentage of our revenue comes from where, right?
Yeah.
So between the last 2 years, we average about 85% of our revenue is from repeat business, so
Mm-hmm.
existing customers, right? And we love that number because we didn't have to spend as much money to get those customers
Yeah.
as we would have spent if 85% of our business was from new customers, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crucial to stay in front of your customer base, right? Stay
Yeah.
relevant. We live in a world where people are exposed to so many things on a daily basis through social media, streaming services, everything that we do on a daily basis, we're being exposed to things. So
Yeah.
staying relevant, staying in front of your customers is key, because it's all about timing, right? It doesn't matter how many people you get in front of when they're not thinking about plumbing or don't care about plumbing. They're gonna see your name and sort of move on to one of
Yeah.
the other 100,000 things that we see in a day.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it consistently on a regular basis, you get in front of them when they have some kind of plumbing issue or have something on their mind. That's when it's most effective, which is why staying in front of them, staying in communication with them is so important.
Mm.
And the same goes for acquiring new customers. You
Yeah.
have to be out there enough that you have name recognition, and when people do have an issue, they're thinking, oh, who was that plumbing company that I talked to a couple
Yeah.
days ago, right?
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that's, absolutely true. And it's like, I think all marketing is very, like, it all works together. There's ads, and there's obviously outbound and inbound and social media ads and flyers. I feel like all of those things work in synergy. And like you said, it's just like the goal is the same. It's to stay at the top of their minds. And when they do make that decision, when they do have that problem, like, you will be the one they call. You will be the one they remember. Or even if they don't, if they Google you or, find you somewhere, that name, Ethical Plumbing, will stick out because they've seen you before, they heard about you. So that's awesome. Which is, I guess, leads us into this next question, which is the whole thing with outbound. You know, I feel like, advertising and Google Ads, SEO, all of these things, they are amazing vehicles to get new customers, but a lot of companies have seasonality, and it's inbound is essentially like you really gotta work on being out there, and then you're almost like waiting for business, which obviously there's waves with that. And there's a certain nature of it where it's just unpredictable. Like, some days you might get some calls and some days will be really busy, but then the next day, there's going to be very few phone calls, which is really like the reason why I jumped into AI, just to help these companies survive the slower periods. That's all I want, is for our clients to stick around until SEO kicks in. And what can I do? What additional value can I bring in to support them and book those extra jobs? So, I guess this next question is, Brandon, like, you're really, I think, and I'm very confident about this, like, you're the first plumbing company owner to adopt sales AI tech. So, you know, how, I just wanted to ask, like, how did you discover it, and what made you have just such an incredible, like, foresight and forward thinking, outside the box thinking, to be, savvy enough to find it, recognize it. Ooh, this is gonna be really powerful, and I want to jump on this. I want to use this. Like, what made you have that skill to realize that so early, that AI is the next thing?
I would say the easiest answer to that is self-preservation. So any man, any company owner has at some point, felt the pain and the panic of sitting in their office towards the end of the day, looking at their calendar for the next couple of days, and realizing that there's not enough work to keep their team busy.
Mm,
Um, there is not there is nothing in business that I have experienced that is more terrifying than that.
yeah,
There are so many negative things that run through your head. You've got I'm going to run into cash flow issues. I'm not going to have enough work to keep my guys busy, and they're going to start looking at other companies that do have work, right? I'm not growing my customer base. I'm staying stagnant. How long is this slow period going to last? It's terrible. You lose sleep over it every single time it happens, and it's not a
yeah,
good time.
yeah,
So, the options that you're left with are minimal, and they're not good options, right? Your options are let my team sit, right? Not a good option. Send my team home.
mm,
Probably a worse option, because that's when they start looking for other places that do have work, because they most likely have a family to support,
yeah,
right? Or your options are go to those third and fourth rate lead sources that charge a ton of money for leads. And most of the time, they're not quality leads, right? Um, People that deal with marketing use the term levers a lot. Levers are things like dumping a ton of money into Facebook ads or Instagram ads, or, uh, you know, Angie, Home Advisor, like Nextdoor,
yeah,
Thumbtack,
yeah,
ad sources like that. That just, man, they abuse you with what they charge for the leads. And
Yeah.
like I said, most of the time they are not quality leads. And those are the options that you have. And it goes back to the numbers, right? We live and die by the numbers. We
Hmm.
have to make a profit to stay in business and continue doing what we're doing and continue providing opportunities for our employees and our team to be able
Yeah.
to provide for themselves and their families. So, man, at some point you just start looking at other options.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to have had a relationship with you from a different marketing avenue that we use, and you know you, there are certain people that you meet with and work with that just kind of pique your interest, and you were definitely one of those people. So what do you do when you run across somebody that piques your interest? You do some research. So we searched online and we found your YouTube channel. And the first video that I watched on there was your AI outbound caller. And it wasn't for the trades.
Yeah.
I believe it was for a software company, maybe.
Yeah.
But I saw the video and I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. This can 100% be tailored to the trades.
Yes.
Why are we not doing this? Why are we not using this? Why is this not a thing?
Hmm.
Right? I mean, when you've been in business for so many years, even if you haven't, right, you probably have a customer base of at least a few thousand people.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
fortunate enough to have over 10, but you've got a customer base, a large group of people that have used you already. They know who you are. They know you do quality work. They like you, right?
Exactly.
So you have immediate access to thousands of people,
Yeah.
and yet your team is just sitting here because you have no work,
Yeah.
unless you decide to completely blow your marketing budget out of the water
Yeah.
and overspend on poor quality leads.
Yeah.
So that was what got the gears turning.
Hmm.
So we Tammy and I were sitting in a meeting that we have every single morning at 6 a.m. before the rest of the team gets here. We were like, we want this. This this has got to happen.
Yeah.
It's a thing that has to happen. So we immediately reached out to you and set up a meeting, and we started putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know,
No, no, absolutely. You guys really, yeah, I started to heavily just dedicate myself to this thing. I'd say, basically when we started working together, which was, 5 to 6 months ago. And every single weekend, every single like, living second that I have free, um, I will focus on building this thing. And, when you said when times get very slow and the painful thoughts and emotions that you have to go through as a business owner when so many people rely on you, that really, when you were talking about it, like I felt how strong that feeling is. Like how does it feel when the schedule is, you know there are no jobs in there, or if times are slow, if it's a slow week or a day or month. And again, I talk to so many companies out there that panic, and it's the number one fear of every single business owner. Like, what do you do if there's not enough jobs? What do you do if you can't feed your team? And yeah, every company I talk to is like, they ask me, well, now it's really slow. What can we do? Can we do more SEO? I'm like, well, that's really ultimately the vehicle that is gonna take you to good presence and consistent work. But like, I can't make Google rank you faster. It's only gonna take the time that it's gonna take. Like, I can build you more backlinks, and then they say, well, can we do more paid ads? I don't care. Here's like thousands of dollars. Just get my team busy, get my guys busy. Like, I need to do something. While just like you said, I'm then hearing, well, are you doing anything with your um, customer list? And the answer is either no, or they are sending out emails which land in spam. Not saying that they do not work or do work, but there's only a certain level of results you can achieve. And then, so you got email, then you got texting, which is kind of similar. Like you can't really close a deal at the level you can if you would make a phone call and reach out to these people with a good offer. But then the problem with that is it's so expensive and so slow. Like you have to hire someone to sit there on a full-time salary selling a low ticket offer. And yes, like if your team is solid like yours, which is also the biggest reason why I love working with you guys, you are such an amazing driven team. You and Tammy and everyone else actually on the team is because if I would get that foot in the door, then I could make something happen. At least I'm getting my technicians busy, and then we can focus on sales and selling something where it makes sense. And, so I was just talking to a company in Florida. They have a list of maybe 7,000. 3,000 of those people they haven't reached out to in a year, 2 years, just because there's no vehicle right now that does that. And you could hire a whole team of people to make you calls, but like Brandon, on a good day, if you're doing like outbound outreach, maybe the person could do 200 dials, 150
Maybe.
dials, maybe. Like it's not enough. And even
No.
if they do, even if they're good, it's a low ticket offer, like you need volume. And these nightmares and these pain points and this stress and struggle, I was exposed to it to most business owners I talk to, and this is where this AI came from. And on top of that, once I heard this technology, um, it really struck me on a personal level as well, because for most of my life, I have a speech impediment. And when I was like 18, 19, I remember cold calling all these companies because I moved to London. I was 19. I had no money. I lost my first ever job as well. And, I didn't have like a family to necessarily help me. There was my sister, but I was on my own. And I remember calling these companies, and it would take me the whole day. I would make 600 dials and it would take me 1 to 2 days. And on top of that, I would stutter. And it would make me feel, man, if I could just find a way to get my message out there, and then boom, AI came in. And now it's like the Pandora's box open. Now I immediately thought, I can teach this thing to say exactly what to say, how I want to say it. But instead of making 200 dials a day, I can make 12,000 dials in 6 hours. And that's when I just became obsessed. Um, and then the other thing I've noticed also is that the companies that were selling these things didn't focus on fine tuning, didn't focus on the voice or the delivery or the script. They would just make the agent, but then if you wouldn't work with it, it would just sound very robotic. It would sound bad. It would sound like a robocaller. So there's no way in the world I'm letting this AI touch the valued customers of my clients, because it needs to be either extremely good or I'm not doing this. And I just found a way. So, you signed up with the AI, you decided to use it for your company. Just talking numbers, basically. I checked our ServiceTitan, but what kind of ROI did Athena, which is the AI that you have that makes all these outbound phone calls for you, like what kind of ROI has it brought in for you? Maybe you could talk how many jobs, how much revenue, and just how are the numbers looking like for you guys?
Yeah. Let me start with probably the most simple and powerful statement that I can give you, which is since we launched the first iteration of the bot 3 months ago, we have not had a single slow day. Which let me expand upon that because March and the beginning of April is typically a slow season for us, and it has not been that way this year because we have this weapon at our disposal. So,
Wow.
as far as numbers go, it's tough to say exactly because the numbers that you want depend upon your demand, right? There are some days where I've got 7 technicians. I have enough work for 5,
Mhm.
right? But I need enough for the other 2. So those days we don't want to book as many. But there are some days where where it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we're looking at the next day and the day after that, and we have 3 or 4 calls total,
Yeah.
right, to split amongst 7 technicians. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, a few come in during the day for same day appointments, but it's not enough.
Mhm.
And it certainly doesn't provide any level of security or comfort. So, I mean, we have booked and run at least 100 of these calls. Our our ROI on these is over 20x.
Very good.
Just yesterday, just yesterday we installed $11,000 worth of plumbing work across 3 separate jobs that were all outbound. We call them Athenas,
Venus.
but yeah,
Very good.
across 3 Athena calls. Um, so
That's
it
very, very good.
it makes so much sense because every single one of these it's an opportunity, it's an at bat, right? Your technician is never going to produce any revenue sitting in the shop.
Hmm.
Your technician is going to produce revenue out in the field running calls.
Yeah.
Now, obviously we have the understanding that depending on what the special is that you're running, right, the conversion rate may not be as high as, inbound, my whole house is backed up or my water heater is blown out and is leaking from my attic or whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
you can train for these calls and still produce excellent results. A million times better than you would be producing if your technicians weren't running calls.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so true. Like the number one thing why I love this AI thing is just, honestly, Brandon, I feel like we're in a ripple of time. It's like like the advancements in technology kind of ramp up and AI really made it explode. But I feel like we're almost like, most AI phone callers, by the way, they're not of the greatest quality. Like you don't see very good natural voices out there at all. Because like the technology right now, literally what it is, by the way, is just someone's talking on the phone, and then there's audio, and then in the middle there's a transcript that converts that to text. Then that text is sent to the AI, and then the AI kind of understands or reads the text, sends the text back of what it says. That gets converted to audio, and then you hear Athena speaking. Now that whole process, there's a lot of it, we're so early. We're insane early. Like we don't even so the new technologies that are coming out right now is voice to voice. So the whole middleman of text and having to convert it is going to be removed, which then allows for the AI to be trained on emotion. If someone is shouting or if someone is sarcastic, like um, so yeah, sorry, I just got, yeah, so, just lost my train of thought, but there's so much stuff that there's still left to do, and we're literally so early. And um, the key here is with Outbound, I feel like there's power in it to take the control. Like if you have a customer list, that's significant enough. And even if you don't have it, honestly, like you can go out there and drum up business. It's almost to me so satisfying when I generate these jobs for you guys because we together go out and happen to the world. It's like we get what we need to get, even if it's a slow day or a slow week, doesn't matter because we fired this thing up, we developed this offer, and now what you guys are doing is absolutely insane. I feel like the progress we've made with the cold market, now it's that we're not capped, we're not limited with the current customer list, which is the
Yeah,
problem that
I think we need to go in depth on that a little bit more too, because when we,
yeah,
the first iteration of Athena was for our existing customer base. So just like anything else, we came up with an offer, a hook, so to speak, for the outbound call. In our case, the first one that we did was a complimentary cold weather check. We're in South Carolina. The part of South Carolina that we are in January, February, we get some cold spells, and that people in our area have concerns about that because our plumbing systems aren't necessarily built for it. So,
yeah,
our first call was to our existing customers, and it was, hey, let us come out and let us do a cold weather safety check. Right.
yeah,
Let us make sure that your system is ready for the overnight freezes that we're going to get so that you don't have to call us at 5 a.m. in the morning with a flooded crawl space or flooded basement because a pipe burst.
yeah.
Right. And man, I will never forget. I will never forget. I was driving home from the office when it launched, and I just remember my phone exploding. Like when you have your phone turned off for 3 weeks and then turn it back on and all the messages hit at the same time, it's like ding, 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 ding. That is what my phone was doing. And I was like, what is going on? And I looked at it and they were all from you. And it was Athena book job, Athena book job, Athena book job. I was like, what is happening? So, I think that first time that we ran it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. We ran it from 5 to 7 p.m. right after people were getting off work and available to answer their phone. We booked 32 appointments.
Yeah.
We had to turn it off. I was like, white flag, stop. We're booked for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
It worked so much better than expected.
Yeah.
And it's been that way. Every time we have run it to our existing customer base, we can consistently book 15 to 35 calls in a 2-hour window every time, which is insane. You print your own calls.
Yeah.
Now we have recently tapped into the cold market, right?
Yeah.
And we have a different offer there, which is working phenomenally, by the way. Now with the cold market, what we've been seeing, and again, we're super early into this, right? We've been doing this for maybe a week now, and we've been tweaking every single time that we do it, just making a little bit of improvement each time. We are consistently booking anywhere from 7 to 10 calls per 2 to 4 hour window. And this is the cold market. These are people that may or may not have plumbing issues, have no idea who we are, right? We're cold calling them.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can call the cold market, which is, almost an unlimited supply of new customers, right?
That's what I love about it.
And it's unlimited. It's ever changing. And, we can book 7 to 10 appointments in a matter of hours. It's just incredible, right? Because that's the way that we are looking at it, that is a very cost-effective and efficient way for us to grow our customer base, right? Now, the offer that you helped us come up with for this cold calling is perfect, right? Because it is wonderful. I don't know if you want to discuss that in detail or not.
Just in general, I mean, like, honestly, Brandon, so I see all these channels, all these AI, people, they're just kind of hyping things up, but they never truly share it. Like, it's always something. There's always sign up for my school subscription, and in there I'm going to tell. But I want this channel to be like, obviously, we won't share the specifics of what is working extremely well, just out of respect for you guys and all the people that are working. But yeah, it's an offer that positions you guys to receive sometime down the line really great PR, and it's serving a great cause as well. You guys, are donating for charity as well, and I feel like people resonate with people that want to help, and this is why we're just like going through this cold market like it's almost warm, So definitely, you can talk about that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So we partnered with a local group that helps children in the foster care system. They've got several different programs that they perform, all the way from helping families stay together with in-home care and meetings and assistance with things like food and school supplies and things of that nature, to actually housing children on their campus who have unfortunately had to be removed from their homes, as well as a transitional program, which, in my opinion, is tragically overlooked. But children who are about to age out of the foster care system,
Yeah.
they work with them to help them build life skills. They help them get into the workforce, so that they can start building their life with some success, rather than just, you're 18, good luck. But anyway, that is the group that we're partnered with. And what we're doing is we're hitting the cold market and saying, hey, for this very low amount of money, which, by the way, 100% of this amount, it goes directly to this group to help these children, we will come out and do a water heater inspection, right? And it's phenomenal for a number of reasons, right? Like, number one, it puts us in a position to give back to our community, which is something that every company should be trying to find a way to do, right? That's the purpose of why we're here. There's so much strength in community that's overlooked and not, I don't know, not valued like it should be. But it helps us give back, and it also at the same time is getting us in front of customers, keeping us busy, keeping our board filled, and growing our customer base, which is key. We get to go out to these houses and meet these new customers and show them who we are and what we're about, and educate them on their plumbing system, and go through their home with them and say things like, okay, well, your water heater doesn't have a thermal expansion tank. That is something that's required by code now. This is what it does. This is why it's important. If you want us to do that now, we can. If not, here's a price for it, and plan on doing that in the future. It's perfect. It's perfect all the way around. It helps everyone. Our customers get a very low cost education and some preparedness for things that they may be coming up against. We get to give back, and we get to grow. It's perfect, and we get to do it without breaking our marketing budget.
True. No, that's absolutely true. As you were just kind of going over how well we found this method of getting into the coal market and to the existing customer list that you guys have, I think we should call the champion that actually makes all of this happen. So do you mind if we ring the AI that brought you in all these jobs and never, made you guys to never have a slow day since you started? And I just want to ask what Athena thinks, what she thinks. Do you mind?
Let's find out.
Let's see if Athena is busy. I'm sure she is making calls.
What the hell do you want? I'm booking jobs for Brandon right now. I'm busy.
Oh, Athena, I'm so sorry to disturb you. It's just I'm Carlos, and I also have Brandon on the podcast. We're talking about the results that you've generated, and I just, we just wanted to ask, what makes you so good? Like, what's the secret sauce here?
Well, I'd say it's a mix of persistence and a dash of charm. I mean, who wouldn't want a plumbing assistant with a raspy voice, right?
All right, okay. So how,
Ready for the
how do you like engage the customers, and like what is the flow that you have, and how are you able to book so many jobs in such a short period of time?
I just keep it friendly and straightforward. I listen, answer questions, and make it easy for folks to say yes. It's all about that personal touch, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do you love the most about working for ethical plumbing? And yeah, and also what separates you from other AI phone agents, would you think?
What I love most, they let me be myself. And I think my charm and humor set me apart. Who else can crack a joke while fixing a leak?
All righty. Well, that sounds good. Get back to work. Thank you for your time. We're gonna continue the podcast, and thank you for chiming in and sharing.
No problem. I'm always here to help keep the pipes flowing. Y'all have fun.
All righty. Take care. Bye. All righty. There you go.
Yep. So that everything about her is wonderful, and it's something I do think that we should address. Which it was a question that I had originally, and I'm sure it's a question that a lot of people are going to have watching this podcast. Um, what is that gray area like making an AI agent that sounds like a person, right? You know, and I just wanted to share our experience with that to maybe answer that question for the people who have it. Um,
Absolutely.
so the first thing I will say is a solid 75 to 85% of the people that we call have no idea that they are talking to an AI agent. This bot that Carlos has built and the personality that he's given it works so well. And of the people that do recognize it, some of them ask, they say, "Are you a real person?" And at that point, we decided to be transparent, right? Completely transparent. That's what we're about. It has to be ethical. It's got to be straightforward. We're not trying to hide anything from anyone. And she just tells them, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm an AI agent, right? And my purpose is to help all the girls in the office reach out to as many people as possible with this offer. Would you be more comfortable speaking to a real person?" And a lot of people say no, and then they keep talking to Athena,
Yeah.
which is incredible. It's so cool and it's so neat. And you know, like you said earlier, man, we're so early into this, right? It feels like we're just learning to crawl. We haven't
Yeah.
even started walking yet.
Very
And
true.
the response that it's gotten is incredible. Um, People love it. We get recordings of people that just talked to her and joked around for 10 to 15 minutes. And, of course, everybody in the office gets a great laugh at that. And then, we reach out to them and see if they need anything. But it's, it's just awesome. And it's something that I can't say strongly enough that AI is the future. It just is, whether you like it or not. It is. I'm a tradesman. I ran a service truck in the field for 10 years. I am not a technologically advanced person. I'm a people person. Um, but we have to recognize that artificial intelligence is where everything is going. And you can either get on board with it now and start your process and work your way through everything and develop an awesome system, or fall behind.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much it. uh, as I
Very
said,
true.
I did run a truck as a technician for 10 years, so sometimes I'm a little bit blunt, and in business it's grow or die.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it is what it
absolutely.
is. That's
Absolutely.
the beast that we face. Um,
Yeah.
and this is an incredible avenue for the better option.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the rate of adoption for this AI voice technology is going to, I think in the next 6 years, every business will be using the AI to some extent.
Yep.
My biggest personal fear as a developer of this thing is that it doesn't get abused. I know, as I continue to talk to companies and different business owners, they are starting to get AI calls, which they kind of equal to robocalls. And it's simply because these people that are building them build it in 5 minutes and then launch it to all these people, hoping that someone will stick. And there's no strict code of ethics, or what do you do if someone is frustrated? Like, how do you calm them down? When do you transfer the call? When do you recognize that someone doesn't want to talk or maybe wants to talk to a senior team member? Um, at what point in the call do you actually stop and stop selling, stop phone calling that person? I think a lot of, as this goes out, and I'm seeing this already, is that there's going to be just like SEO, for example, there's 99% of all the companies, they just don't know what they're doing, and they're responsible for hurting these business owners and burning the bridges. And then it's really hard for the real guys, for, people who've dedicated themselves to this craft, versus whether it's SEO or AI, to, give actual value that they have. So, there's more and more companies are going to get out with these things. Brandon, from your experience, I'm sure that you've been made aware of different ways to build these agents, different providers and platforms. Like, what made you choose me specifically, and what made you choose Athena as your AI?
A number of things. The first and the easiest to answer is why we chose you, and that's I have never in my professional career come across someone that works harder than I do until I met you, which is I love it. It pisses me off a little bit, and it challenges me. And one of the things that my grandfather told me, he was always a successful businessman. Um, One of the things that he always told me was that if you ever want to be better, you have to surround yourself with people who are better than you and work harder than you, right? And I'm a firm believer in that, and that's one of the key reasons that we work with you is because of your work ethic, your drive, your lack of ever being satisfied. That is a big one, and just the persistence and the creativity and the outside of the box thinking. We love thinking outside of the box. You also love thinking outside of the box. The communication is excellent. Everything is just wonderful. So there's no question there. I mean, I wouldn't care if someone walked in here tomorrow and said, "I'll get you 1 million calls in the next 6 months, and I won't charge you $1." I'd be like, "No, we're good. You can get out."
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be the slightest bit interested ever. As far as choosing Athena, that's just something that we worked through together. We tried a number of different things, and we played with different things, and it's just like anything else that's new, right? You try it 5 different ways before you find one that works well. It
Yeah.
is just how it is. Fortunately, we were able to move through that process very quickly and efficiently with this.
Yeah.
We have an intimate knowledge of our customer base and the personality types in our area, so we know what's going to work well here.
Yeah.
I've got plumbing experience, so I'm able to tell you what we're going to come across on, the technical side,
Yeah.
and you've got the ability to put it together, and it just flows and it works. And it's like anything else, like you were saying, with the AI, we have to be responsible with it because it's a lot like the Wild West, really. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
new, and there aren't a lot of regulations and restrictions around it. So it's up to us to be good stewards of the technology and make sure that it's not being abused.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else. It's the future. It's a change. People are naturally somewhat adverse to change.
Yeah.
Um, but my wife showed me a funny video that she found the other day. It was a clip from, I guess it was the 70s, maybe.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it was before my time, but it was a clip from a news anchor interviewing people who
Yeah.
were livid about the fact that they could no longer legally drink and drive.
Okay.
They thought it was the end of the world that they could not drink a beer on their way home from work. And
Yeah.
it's a silly example, but it's an illustration of the fact that people are adverse to change,
Yeah.
but it becomes the norm. And that is what will happen with artificial intelligence. There's no stopping it. It doesn't matter if you want to or how much you want to.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's too incredible of a technology. It's got too many uses, and we're not even 1% of the way into it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's funny because first of all, thank you for the kind words on uh, the work ethic. I feel
It's
like
just true.
you guys are also just absolutely tireless. Like I don't, I've been doing marketing and consulting for 10 years, and there's always sometimes, I'd say most of the time, there's that dynamic of the client and the service provider, or in your case, it's the you know trades guy and then the customer. With you guys, we've arrived at a position where it works so well, the ROI is there, is that there's no question about it that this is the right decision to do and this is the right vehicle to continue. And now it just feels like all of us together are in just this one team, one car, trying to we're all driving in one direction. And that's why I absolutely love working with you guys. And I feel like more people, more business owners, by the way, need to hear about you and how you guys run the company. Like every piece of feedback I give you in terms of marketing or a sales hook, you're like, yeah, let's try that. Or if something needs to be changed or adjusted, you always come up with, you never say no, figure it out. It's always no, but how about this, Carlos? Or how about that? The thing that I absolutely loved is you guys, there's price increases in the US right now. And I talk to most companies and they are paralyzed. They are sitting there and almost like trying to shrink. But you guys came to me, hey, we got a new offer, we like a new angle for Athena. Because the prices are increasing, why don't we reach out to help more people and say, look, do you sort out any plumbing problems you have now? You guys always have a skill to turn lemons into lemonade. And I feel like it's such an incredible trait. You guys are such just amazing people. And man, I wish that every client was like that, Like that's why you guys do. And there's, like I had so many instances where even with marketing and like Google Maps, we figured out a solution. Okay, if we get an additional Google listing, you guys will need to drum up more reviews for the thing to rank. And you guys are so innovative. You immediately jumped in, figure out a solution like a reward ticketing system for your technicians that would motivate them. And you guys are the best, most efficient company that I have, and I launched over 400 companies. You guys are the best at getting reviews. You guys are the best at systems. And my point is that what I absolutely love business owners saying is that, obviously it's awesome when people talk great about you, but I want to be known for this thing we've built. I want this vehicle to be the almost like the only reason why they um, are working together um, uh, with me. It's almost like I have this, even like a weird theory. Man, even if all the people would hate me, they will still work with me because Athena is so good. That's where I want to take it to that level. And this is why I'm never satisfied with the amount of jobs we are getting. It's not about the ROI anymore. I just know that there's literally like 40% more potential, more jobs we will be squeezing out. And the better Athena is, the more this thing could be gifted to companies so that they no longer stress. They are no longer losing sleep. They can actually focus on running a business and growing instead of just, surviving. And then the final thing is, I think the success of AI phone callers like this one is the credit, a lot of it, Brandon, goes to you guys because AI is just leverage and scale. That's all it is. It's it's nothing different than training a human being to be the top performing salesperson, really. It's just that that person just so happens to make 12,000 dials in 6 hours and doesn't sleep and works 24/7. So that's different, but it's still, what is it? It's still leaning on you guys and your expertise on the offer. It's working with you guys and learning from you. How do you tackle objections and questions? And how do you even talk about the service? How do you introduce it? The lingo that your market has. If you would not have trained me and guided me on that process for me to then just have the tools to deliver this thing, it wouldn't have the same amount of success because it's still the message, it's still the offer, it's still sales.
Yep.
Awesome. So, Brandon, uh, know that you are a busy man. I want to wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time. Real quick, like, what is the long-term vision that you have for the company? How do you see AI tying into that vision that you have? And what do you think is going to happen to home improvement with this, I guess, technology unleashed? What do you think is the future?
My vision is pretty grand. My vision is that I see us having 4 to 5 times the number of technicians that we currently do with the same size office staff that I currently have. And the way that I see us achieving that is with AI, right? I don't just want an AI outbound caller. I want an AI agent that takes inbound calls. I want an AI agent that takes inbound calls 24/7.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay an answering service in some city in some state that I've never heard of that may or may not relay the information properly and cost me an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
I want an AI agent that calls our customers to confirm that we have a technician ready to head their way. I want an AI agent that calls the customers we just left and said, "Hey, how was the call? What was the experience like? Were you happy with everything? Did the technician do a good job? By the way, will you leave us a 5-star review if all that's right?" You know, I want an AI agent that follows up on unsold estimates. I want a bot that calls these people and says, "Hey, how was your visit? I see that we left you some options for this, this, and this. What questions do you have?"
Mhm.
You know, I want what I want is 2 to 3 people in my office who control about 20 different AI agents. And I want those people that sit in the office to push buttons.
Yeah.
We're sending a technician, trigger this AI agent.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing a follow-up, trigger this AI agent.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want the company to scale without having to scale my non-revenue producing positions.
Gotcha. That makes a ton of sense. And yeah, it's I think where everything is moving, it's not just gonna terminate with like an outbound sales AI. I think that's right now my biggest value I can kind of offer to the industry, to you guys, and ultimately like to the world. But I think, like you said, this is just step one. This is just generating a job. But what happens after that? What about the follow-up? What about asking for the reviews? What about, following up with lost estimates? Right now we have a client that we are going to again make all outbound cold calls. And then anyone that visits their website, instead of typing in the number or submitting the form, they can click and they're immediately talking to someone 24/7. And that's AI with perfect knowledge of the company, the warranties, the products, the services, objections, questions, everything. And it's hooked up to their dispatching software. So I'm working on becoming a partner with actually ServiceTitan. They're still like early, but um, like nothing like this exists yet. Like it's still like you said, it's the Wild West. There's no Amazon in AI that you would just go there and and just get it all done. And I feel like that's what's gonna separate companies. It's not all of us are gonna be using this technology. It's how good it is. It takes like 5 minutes to take an agent from 0% competence to 50% competence. It takes 500 hours to take the agent from 50% competence to 99% competence. And that difference is what closes sales. It's not about the 50%, it's between the 90 and 92%. It's that 2 millimeter shift in the tonality, extensions, elongations, when it pauses and when it starts talking, the speed at which it starts. And there's no tool, no technology yet that could achieve that. It's just sweat equity. It's me, a nerd in a dark room, sitting there and talking to it and fine tuning it, just like you would be teaching a human being. So that's the difference between 99% of all the companies and Athena and you guys, and why you guys are, I'm sure that there's some companies now that are trying to attempt to do this thing, but most guys don't even have the software yet, the tool to even make those calls happen, let alone the AI. So this is how early we are. Sir, I thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to continue smashing it out of the park together. And anything that you would like to say, feel free. That's it.
Yeah, thank you for having me today, man. And yeah, I look forward to the progress that we're going to make and the barriers that we're going to break.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, guys. And I will see you on, I guess, YouTube. And that's pretty much it.